Welcome back to this day. There is a lot of background here in the village, and to talk more about that is Catherine Bryans with the History Center. Catherine, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
In.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and I love your pin. That is so festive and just adorable.
That was my goal.
Perfect. Well, so not only is the history store the history of the village, but there's also, oh wait, so I want to ask about there's great histories here and stories here in Laguna Woods Village, and it might seem obvious, but what does the History Center do?
Well, we collect those bits of history. We try to have references from what we call locale, which are things that affect our community, as well as our community, which is the main focus, and we've been doing that since 1977, when it was then called the Historical Society. We do it digitally,
okay,
which is a magical word to a lot of seniors anymore. But and we also do it. We have physical archives. That could mean we have pictures, storage of documents, and things of that sort. So those are the way we collect it and keep it. And we were on our own separate system, so we were not affected by the malware that hit here, which is good. So we do our own backup and take care of that. So we keep it for the future. And you never know. You'd be surprised what people come in and ask to see if they could find out. It's amazing.
Oh, wow. And so there was a malware thing that happened that affected the village?
Right.
How long ago was that?
Maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And the village lost a lot of documents and things, not by their fault, but by this malware.
Wow. But the History Center, everything fortunately was kept intact.
Right.
And in your brochure, it says there's 1,600 years of local human history.
Well, that's what our CEO, Dean, likes to talk about. I'm not real familiar with those 1,600 years.
Okay.
I can talk about the 15 I've been in the village, but that's the only thing.
Well, and then one of the other things, it's in your brochure, it says, the collections, a lot of these collections come from, people in the community,
Absolutely.
Things like photos, scrapbooks, documents, and that you guys can scan it, so you can still keep your memories.
Correct.
But to bring it in so that there are these memories in the History Center.
Or we can teach them to have them come in and do their own scanning.
Okay.
We have one of our volunteers who does nothing but scan old documents. So he's pretty adroit at getting people through that process. It's not as difficult as it seems.
Right. Oh, how neat, how fun. And so not only does the History Center store, the history of the village, but there's also history with the building itself.
Correct.
So tell me about that.
Well, let me go back a little bit. 1977 is when we started. And what happened was the Rossmore Corporation and Ross Cortese were winding down building in the community. And they wanted a place to be able to put some of the documents pertinent to this community, and the Historical Society was formed, which later became the History Center, and that's where this whole little pod started. And building that building, we built it in 1996. Oddly enough, if you look at the building, it looks like the library and History Center are one big building, but there's 8 inches separating.
Oh, really? Okay.
Actually, it is a freestanding building. It is not, we are not a GRF facility, the History Center, but the building was built by donors through the Historical Society, and then it was donated to the Golden Rain Foundation. We maintained a long-term lease, and so that's how we got established there. The first shovel of dirt on the building was done by a very nostalgic person around here, Huell Hauser, and then he returned when the building opened in 1996. It was important. As we're not a GRF facility, we receive no money from assessments. We are all donor driven. So it's important for people to remember that we just don't happen. We need help. So hopefully in this season of giving, we and find some of that.
Yeah.
But Hugo
Don't forget
came
about
back.
the History Center.
Yeah, don't forget the History Center. And in 1999, we became a city. In 2005, the name changed from Leisure World to Laguna Woods Village. And we remodeled the building in 2016. And also that year, we renamed it the History Center. What we found is people were not as comfortable coming to visit a place that said, with the word society on the end of it, like it was, I don't know, a secret club or organization.
Okay.
So we had some focus groups in and figured out that we needed to change the name, so we did that.
So it more encompasses what it's truly about.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. And to feel when you come in, which you can, and you can do your own research. We can show you how to do that if you want to find out something that happened in the community. We also did several years ago a lot of old, what was called Leisure World News, which was the original weekly that came out. And now it's called the Globe. But at that point, it was called Leisure World News, and it was all paper driven. So we had piles and piles in our archive room. And we had 2 volunteers, and it took them over 2.5 years to scan all of those newspapers. So you can come in and research anything that was newsworthy in our, well, newsworthy enough to make the paper.
To make the paper, yeah.
So
That's wonderful.
it's interesting, and a lot of people will just walk in and say, my Aunt Lily used to live here somewhere, and we have all the old phone books.
Wow.
We didn't scan those.
Okay.
They're still in a phone book. But it's really fun, and people can reconnect. There's a lot of interesting stories.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And then something new recently happened. There was a rededication of the Friendship Walk plaque.
Yes, 3.5 years ago. What happened, residents around there noticed that the plaque was missing, and they found it in the shrubbery. And apparently it was on a wooden base, and apparently got hit by a lawnmower. It was found by residents in the shrubbery, and because we've been doing walk brochures, tree walks in the community, we've been publishing that for the last couple of years, and they're very popular. People called us to see what they should do about the plaque, that it was in the bushes. It was on a wooden base, so there was always that possibility. So the plaque was actually part of a dedication in 1966 when the walk was developed by then Rossmore Corporation. There weren't a lot of places in our community for people to meet. There weren't a lot of people. So you could go to Clubhouse 1, you could go to a laundry room, or this walk was built so people could get out and socialize. And it was just a lovely, lovely thing because Mr. Cortese wanted to build communities, not necessarily just housing. But before the pandemic, the people had noticed this plaque was missing, and I called BMS staff up at the maintenance building, and they came and picked it up, and that was it for 3.5, 4 years, because then the pandemic hit and staff was cut back, and we had the plaque, but we didn't know, we knew we had the plaque somewhere. So thanks to Bob Merget and his staff, and I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name, but anyway, to Bob, who is actually retiring soon, what we found out is they had no idea what they were looking for. They had never seen a picture of it. They didn't know. So within 2 days, his staff found that. And then the question is, should we take it upon ourselves as the History Center to replace it? And we had a meeting in our board, and one of our board members, Dorothy Pasella, and her husband works at the Clubhouse 4 Center, and he said, we can build. We love our volunteers in this village. Honestly, we can build this for you and secure the plaque, and it'll never happen again. And that's one of the things you see in the picture is the work done. That was the day that they were installing. Actually, they cheated. They told me they were going to start at 8, and I got there at 8, and they'd started at 7:30, so I missed the
Oh,
big part of getting it in. But that's
love
okay.
to see it happen.
Exactly. So we went ahead, and thanks to those volunteers, for like $60 instead of $1,800.
Wow.
And then we
wow.
have Dorothy and her husband, Carmen Pachelik. Dorothy's one of our trustees.
Okay.
So he sort of got volunteered the way most husbands get volunteered. But he and a friend of his at Clubhouse 4, Ami Gilad, did that work at no cost other than the materials.
Aw,
And-
that's wow, so nice.
And it is, and I heard somebody called me and said, the word's out that the plaque's back, because the residents had noticed and started Facebooking about it. So due to this, the plaque is dedicated to a gentleman named Roland Wilson, who took it upon himself to make sure this worked, that this Friendship Walk was going to be a good area. And that's why his name is embedded on the plaque. And we're just very proud to be part of the recovery and the reinstallation of this Friendship Walk plaque. It means a lot to the residents, and it means a lot to people in the community, and it means a lot to an entity called the History Center.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that it is
back.
in its rightful place and is predominantly there so that everybody can see it and enjoy it.
We had a slide of the map, and I don't know if they can put that map, but the parking lot you see is actually the parking lot behind our building. It's the overflow parking on Aragon, so you can see that it's right above on that cul-de-sac, but you actually go on Avenida Castilla to see it. And they can come get one of our Friendship Walk tree guides.
Okay.
It's going to be revised. But John Parker, another one of our trustees, is doing incredible work with redoing. He's done 2 other walks. So he's been looking at how to renew this when I'm trying to get him to get started, to get it so it shows.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being here and
My
telling us about
pleasure.
this. I'm so glad it was found.
I am too, but that's part of being a part of this village.
Yes. Well, if you'd like to check out the History Center, they are open Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., and they're located adjacent to the Village Library. Stay with us. We'll have more of this day right after this.